So this video is a story about this watch and why you should not buy a Tudor watch. So I bought this watch. This is a Tudor Black Bay 58925 in May of 2021. I wore it for a couple weeks, no issues, and then I took it off. We went on a trip to Florida and didn't want to bring it out there. We were out there a couple weeks, got back, and basically in June, started wearing it again and started noticing problems. It kept seemingly not being the right time and was always behind, and I couldn't figure it out. So I started to kind of pay more attention to it and started to notice that it was stopping. And I was wearing it every day, and it's an automatic, it's supposed to wind, but it was having some kind of a problem. Wound it manually a bit to see if maybe that was the issue, maybe not moving enough. I don't know. It didn't seem to matter. And it kept stopping and being messed up. And I was like, something is up with this. So to kind of be like scientific about it, I set the watch down on my desk while I'd be working and just kind of look at it from, every 5-10 minutes, kind of make sure it's still running. And I was catching it stopping. And it was this weirdest thing. And, you take the stem out and wind it and it would start running again. So I was like, okay. But it felt like it was like wound still, like it was a little resistance. So I was like, this is strange. Go back to the AD I bought it at, and they're saying you can't overwind it. It's probably just not wound enough. You're fine. Don't really believe them, though. They let me. I wanted to see because they had another Black Bay 58, not the 925, but a regular like stainless model. Let me wind that one, and it kind of had a similar kind of grindy, not a nice feeling when you wound the movement manually. I thought that was strange. They both felt like that, but very weird. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just overthinking this. It's not a big deal. Bring it back home. Continue to do the same thing because I still didn't buy it. And sure enough, it keeps stopping. So what I finally did was I was like looking at it. I think I had picked it up to move it and noticed it started running again without me winding it. And I was like, this is weird. So I set it back down, and then sure enough, it stops for 3 or 4 hours later. And I tap it just kind of tap it. It's sitting on a little notepad, and I'll post a few videos while I'm talking, kind of showing this. I'll pop them up kind of as an overlay or on top of this. They're just filmed with my iPhone, so they're going to be vertical, unfortunately. But the point was, if you just tapped it, kind of like thumped it with your finger, it would all of a sudden start running again. So it's like, this is weird. Is the movement seizing up? Is something stopping it from, unwinding? Is there something wrong with the mainspring? Don't know. Very strange. Kind of made some notes about this and did this for a few days, and I'm like, yeah, there's something definitely wrong with this. Call the AD, bring it back in, and they kind of take it in as a warranty thing because there's a warranty with the watch, and they ship it off to Tudor, Rolex, and we'll find out what's going on. And I swear it took like a month, and if they finally say, yeah, they've confirmed receipt and that there's a problem and a part needs to be replaced. But unfortunately, the part they don't have in stock because of the parts supply chain. Like everybody blames the parts supply chain. I'm like, all right, well, I get that. So I'll wait a little while, and then, it's a little more long while, and finally, I call them again, and it's still a wait. We don't have exact ETA. I think they, at that point, said, September. Maybe this was August or something at this point. So I wait, and then they call me in September, and they said it's looking more like December, or I don't know, they think November, December, or December, I think it was November, December. Like, you got to wait another 1 to 2 more months. Okay. This is getting ridiculous, but okay. So I call in December because I hadn't heard from them, and they tell me that, yeah, that is kind of strange. You haven't heard from us. We don't have any new notes, but we'll call. Okay, wait for a call back. They never call back. A month goes by. Call them again. Now we're in January 2022, so it's literally been 6 months since I purchased the watch. No, more than 6 months since I purchased it, but it's been 6 months since I handed it to them to send back to Tudor, and they don't have any notes about calling, or just basically whoever I talked to the month before didn't do anything. This person calls or said they were going to call in the morning. They called me back in the morning saying they realized this was MLK, it was a holiday, so they're not open. We'll call again, try again tomorrow. And then the next day they call me. This is like we're mid-January. This was last week, basically. So mid-January 2022, 6 months after they sent it away. Oh, we have it. It just showed up in our, in packages or whatever that came in, our shipment. Come down and pick it up. You're good. I'm like, okay, seems a little bit weird. Go down there this weekend, pick it up, ask them about it. They show me the paperwork. Basically, they don't have any answers. What's going on? The paperwork from Rolex Tudor says they replaced the case, which I'm like, I sent it back because the movement was defective. This doesn't make any sense. That wasn't the problem. And he doesn't know, and there's no clarity about anything. And the only thing he said is maybe since the movement was defective, like I was claiming, there's nothing in the notes or the paperwork about this, but other than the original like intake receipt from when we had sent it off. And he's like, well, if they change the movement, there's a hidden serial on it, and they want the serial number of the movement to match the case serial number. So maybe that's why they gave you a new case. I'm like, all right, it's a little weird, but I'm like, so this is like a new watch because it has the stickers and everything. I haven't even taken them off. The let's see if you can see this. The stickers are still on here, which is another oddity because when I bought the watch new, just like all the ADs, they had to peel the stickers off as part of like Rolex Tudor's rules. So I'm like, okay, and I kind of glance it over. It looks pretty much fine, and didn't inspect it like crazy because I'm like, oh, this is probably a new watch. Don't need to worry about it. They took care of me, sort of. I'm still super bitter, but whatever. I got a new watch eventually. Get out to my car. Actually looked at it a little closer in the sunlight, sitting in my car, and I noticed the strap's new. It's a new leather strap, so the leather strap on the one I sent away was a little worn because I'd worn it for like 4 weeks. And I was like, oh, cool. So this really is like a new watch. Awesome. Maybe this is finally, put this behind me and, move on in my life here. Well, I get home and look at it more closely, and I'll put some video clips I took with my macro lens, but the bezel knurling, like what you grip with your finger. I'm sorry, I'm holding the microphone. I don't have a spot tag on the shirt, but there's kind of like a knurling on the bezel, and it's marred multiple places between like the 12 and 3 o'clock position on the watch. It looks like from an extraction tool. Like I'm not a watchmaker, but I've seen how they can pop. You can remove the bezel from the case with like a thing that kind of clips down and lifts it off, and it looks like they just dented the bezel. And I don't know if this was the original bezel off my original watch, and they put it on this other case that they had. I don't know how that all works, but like it's totally damaged, and it's so infuriating because I just can't go back there again and give them. They're gonna send it away to Dallas, Texas again for it to be at the Tudor Rolex Service Center for another 6 months or whatever it's going to take them to source another bezel because they don't have parts for anything they claim. And it's just like, this is such an awful experience. You buy, a luxury Swiss watch. It's 4 figures, and you think you're going to get this great experience. And obviously they're super nice to you, trying to sell you, and everything's perfect. But then as once you've bought it and you walk out the door, and then there's an issue, it's not the great service. It's poor service. It's unknowns, no clarity, and endless excuses. And you buy a watch and then wait 6 months to get it back. Completely unacceptable. I bought a $500 Seiko. I got the Seiko Arnie kind of reissue a couple years ago. It's like $500 from Macy's.com. It's a 2-year-old watch. Never had a problem with it. Everything's fine. It works perfectly. You buy this 4-figure watch, and it's a terrible experience. So maybe the positive out of this is I basically have zero interest in buying another luxury watch. I can't see myself getting interested in it ever again in my life. I mean, obviously it could change in, 10, 20 years or something when I'm older. But like, it's such a horrible experience. It was not a luxurious experience. And it's just stress. And it's like, why spend that money for the stress? It's just insanity. Like, it pisses me off too, because this whole time, there's tons of influencers on YouTube posting videos of this watch I had and then newer watches that Tudor released, and all the watch channels pushing it, and ads and Tudor ads in the airport. And it's like, you can't even take care of the customers who've already paid, and you treat them like this. And pathetic, horrible service with no clarity on what the hell is going on. And I don't know, maybe this watch will stop and then I'll have to send it back to them because I still have another 4 years of warranty. And I might even call the AD to talk to them about, can I bring it in later to replace the bezel? But it's just, this is such a terrible experience. It's like unbelievable. and I don't want you guys to go through this. So hopefully, I don't think my subscribers, most people come to this channel for photography stuff, care about this. Maybe some of you do, but if you came here, hopefully from a YouTube search, my takeaway from this experience, and hopefully and I'll show a picture of the paperwork in this video, and these detailed macro shots, but like, don't buy a Tudor. It's not worth it. It's not a good experience. I mean, you might get lucky. So I'm sure there's plenty of people who have a good experience, but this is how bad it can be. It could probably be worse. But I bought a brand new Tudor from a Tudor Rolex authorized dealer, and played the game and waited. They didn't obviously have it in stock immediately. I told them I was interested, and they put me on a list, and then kind of checked in a few more times when I was at the mall, and then eventually they had it, and played that whole stupid game, only for this horrendous experience for the last 6 months, and not even having the watch. And just like, why put yourself through this? Don't buy a Tudor. It's not a good experience. It's not a good watch, seemingly. I have two other ones that I bought before this. Well, I bought one of them before this, and then a North Flag, and then while I was waiting to get this one back, I bought a used Tudor Ranger, Heritage Ranger. But like, I'll never buy another one. And honestly, like, I almost want to sell this one because it's like, it feels dirty, and I'm like so upset about it. So I just wanted to share that with you, and share it with YouTube and the internet, that this is the experience of a Tudor. Don't buy it. It's a waste of money, and it's an awful experience, and you'd be better off just buying a Seiko, Casio, G-Shock, Citizen, anything, because this is just complete insanity. People want to hype the brand, and it's like the affordable Rolex. It's like what Rolex used to be. Well, if Rolex had this customer service this bad in the past, they would have never gotten this big. I can't buy it. So they're a joke. Tudor's like a total joke. Won't ever buy another Tudor. Won't ever shop at that AD again, because this whole experience makes me upset with them. And I think that for, if they cared about me as a customer, they would have done something, comped something, offered me some kind of compensation. Nothing of the sort. They just told me to deal with it. So yeah, don't buy. It's not worth it. See you in the next one.